Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update from NFL News Now. The San Francisco 49ers find themselves in an unfamiliar position this season, one that feels both desperate and defiant. For a team that has prided itself on defensive dominance for years, the loss of two cornerstone leaders, Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, has sent shockwaves through the locker room and the entire NFL landscape. These aren't just any players. These are the heart and soul of the 49ers' identity, the engine that fuels Kyle Shanahan's physical, fast, and unforgiving brand of football. Losing them for the rest of the season leaves a void that's almost impossible to fill. And as if fate wasn't cruel enough, Bryce Huff, the midseason hero who had stepped up valiantly in Bosa's absence, pulled up with a hamstring injury late in the 49ers win over the Atlanta Falcons. The 49ers won the game, but it felt like a Pyrrhic victory. The bodies are falling faster than the wins are stacking up, and now, the front office is staring down one of the biggest questions of the year. What would it take to bring Max Crosby to San Francisco? At first glance, the idea sounds like pure fantasy football, a move so bold it almost feels reckless. But desperate times, as they say, call for desperate measures. With the November 4th trade deadline looming, every contender across the league is making calls, checking in on players who might be available if the price is right. And for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, this is one of those rare crossroads where ambition meets reality. Shanahan himself made it clear this week that while the team wants help, it can't afford to mortgage its entire future for a short-term fix. Of course we want someone to help us out this year, Shanahan said on Monday. But I'd love it not to be at the expense of our team next year also. It's the kind of statement that sounds cautious and measured, but deep down, it's also the kind of line you hear right before a front office makes a massive move. And make no mistake, landing Max Crosby would be a massive move. The Raiders' star pass rusher isn't just good, he's elite. He's relentless, violent in his pursuit, and seems to get better with every passing year. Crosby has become the face of Las Vegas football, a rare bright spot in a franchise that has struggled to find consistency since John Gruden's exit. He's not only their defensive leader, but their emotional heartbeat, a guy who plays every snap like it's the last one of his career. But as much as the Raiders may value him, they're also 2-5, losers of 5 of their last 6, and their season is already teetering on the brink of collapse. In a situation like that, front offices start asking tough questions. Should they cling to a star in the middle of a rebuild, or use him to accelerate a long-overdue reset? That's where the whispers start to turn into something more tangible. Trey Wingo recently dropped a bombshell report that the Dallas Cowboys had reached out to the Raiders about Crosby's availability, testing the waters on what it might take to pry the defensive terror away from Vegas. If that rumor is even halfway true, then you can bet the 49ers are watching closely. Because if the Raiders are listening to calls, then the race for Crosby could quickly turn into one of the wildest bidding wars in recent NFL history. Bleacher Report's Mo Moton has already played matchmaker, naming 5 teams that should be all over Crosby if he ever becomes available. The 49ers, Cowboys, Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions, and Washington Commanders. Among those, San Francisco stands out, not just because of need, but because of fit. Moton even took it a step further, breaking down what it might actually cost Lynch and Shanahan to pull the trigger. His proposal? A haul of draft capital and a talented, but expendable, offensive piece. Specifically, the 49ers would send their 2026 first and 4th-round picks, their 2027 first and 5th-round picks, and wide receiver Jawan Jennings to Las Vegas in exchange for Crosby. It's the kind of trade that makes your jaw drop. 4 premium draft picks and a player for 1 defensive superstar. It sounds like too much, until you remember who we're talking about. Max Crosby isn't just another pass rusher. He's a franchise-altering player, the kind of guy who instantly elevates every defender around him. For the 49ers, he could be the difference between surviving the rest of this season and making another Super Bowl run. Imagine Crosby lined up opposite Bryce Huff once he's healthy again, with Javon Hargrave anchoring the interior and Arik Armstead eating up blockers. Even without Bosa and Warner, that's a nightmare for any offensive line. And that's exactly why San Francisco is being mentioned in these conversations. They have $23 million in available cap space. Enough flexibility to make a blockbuster deal work without gutting their roster financially. But every trade has two sides, and from Las Vegas' perspective, there's a logic to this as well. Moving Crosby to an NFC team means they wouldn't have to face him often, and acquiring a player like Jawan Jennings gives them a hungry, physical wideout who could help their young offense take shape. Jennings is a tough, no-nonsense receiver who thrives on contact and does the dirty work few others are willing to do. Before the season, San Francisco restructured his contract, signaling they still value him. But with Brandon Ayuk and rookie Ricky Pearsall returning to full health, Jennings could soon find himself as the third or even fourth option in Shanahan's loaded offense. For a team like the Raiders, who are desperate for toughness and leadership, he could be a perfect addition. The real question, though, is whether the 49ers should actually go through with it. Trading 4 draft picks for a single player, no matter how talented, always comes with risk. You're not just betting on the player's talent, you're betting on your window to win. And in the NFL, that window closes fast. For Shanahan and Lynch, this might be their best and last chance to capitalize on the prime years of Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey. Williams is still an all-world left tackle, but he's not getting any younger, and McCaffrey, while still electric, is playing one of the most physically demanding positions in football. If San Francisco wants to chase another Lombardi trophy while those two are still elite, now is the time to swing for the fences. From a financial standpoint, it actually makes more sense than most fans would think. Crosby's new deal with the Raiders, a 3-year, $106.5 million extension with a mind-blowing $91.5 million guaranteed, might seem like a monster contract, but it's structured in a way that front-loads much of the cap impact for Las Vegas. That means the team acquiring him would get a manageable salary over the next few seasons, particularly if they restructured it creatively. For San Francisco, with one of the most forward-thinking front offices in the league, making the numbers work wouldn't be the hardest part. The harder question is philosophical. How much of the future are you willing to sacrifice for the present? If there's one thing history tells us, it's that the 49ers don't shy away from bold moves. They traded up for Trey Lance, they traded for McCaffrey, and they've never been afraid to pay a premium for players they believe in. Crosby fits that mold perfectly, a relentless, all-effort player with a chip on his shoulder, and a work ethic that mirrors the team's ethos. He's the kind of guy who fits the San Francisco culture like a glove. But there's a reason trades like this almost never happen mid-season. The risk of disruption, the loss of future flexibility, and the uncertainty of how quickly a star can adapt to a new system. And yet, this is the NFL in 2025, a league where patience is a luxury. With a 6-2 record and a defense in shambles, the 49ers can't afford to simply wait and see. Every game matters, every possession counts, and every injury tilts the balance. Adding Max Crosby could be the move that redefines their season, or it could be the gamble that costs them their next 5 years. But here's the thing. Championship teams don't play it safe. They take risks when the moment demands it. Maybe that's where San Francisco stands right now. Maybe this is the moment where John Lynch looks at the roster, the injuries, the standings, and realizes that sometimes the future has to take a back seat to the present. Because for all the uncertainty, one thing is clear. The 49ers still believe this is their year. And if they truly believe that, then adding a player like Max Crosby isn't just a move, it's a statement. A declaration that no matter who falls, no matter who gets hurt, this team will keep swinging. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. The San Francisco 49ers have made a move that could completely redefine their defensive identity heading into the playoffs. Rumors had been swirling for weeks, but now it's confirmed. The 49ers have officially signed TREY HENDRICKSON, and if the chatter around the league is anything to go by, this could be the missing piece that transforms their pass rush from formidable to downright terrifying. Imagine the nightmare scenarios for opposing quarterbacks, a defensive front so relentless, so unpredictable, that no pocket feels safe, no route looks clean, and no game plan survives intact. The 49ers have been building towards something special for years, but this move signals a clear declaration. They're not just content with being contenders, they're gunning for domination. Hendrickson's arrival instantly reshapes the narrative around San Francisco's defense. In recent seasons, the 49ers have been a team built on defensive creativity, mixing stunts, blitzes, and scheme versatility, but they've occasionally lacked that edge rusher capable of truly changing a game in a single snap. TREY HENDRICKSON is exactly that kind of player. Known for his explosive first step, relentless pursuit, and uncanny ability to pressure quarterbacks from multiple angles, he brings an energy that can energize the entire unit. This isn't just about statistics. Although his sack numbers speak volumes, it's about the psychological impact he imposes on opposing offenses. Rumor has it that quarterbacks across the league are already circling the 49ers' schedule with a sense of dread, wondering how they'll survive when Hendrickson is lining up opposite their best tackle. The locker room buzz is palpable, with insiders hinting that even seasoned veterans like Nick Bosa are excited about the matchup possibilities this creates. Sources close to the team have been dropping hints about this acquisition for weeks, fueling speculation that the 49ers were willing to do whatever it took to upgrade their pass rush. The front office, led by John Lynch, has been methodical in targeting players who not only deliver on the field, but also bring leadership and championship mentality to the locker room. Hendrickson checks both boxes. He's a player who thrives under pressure, has consistently elevated his game in crucial moments, and fits seamlessly into Kyle Shanahan's defensive vision. For a team that has been consistently close to glory but sometimes fell short in the trenches, adding Hendrickson feels like the final stroke of a master plan. Rumor has it that the signing bonus and incentives were structured in a way that underscores the team's commitment to winning now. This is not a long-term project or a developmental gamble. This is an all-in, win-now move. The timing of the announcement has also sparked whispers around the league, coming just as teams are starting to pivot toward playoff preparation. The 49ers are sending a clear message. They are building a pass rush capable of redefining the postseason. Analysts are already speculating about the combinations this could unlock on defense. Imagine Hendrickson lining up across from Bosa, both players with speed, power, and technique to exploit any gap. Opposing offensive coordinators will have to rethink protection schemes, deploy additional blockers, and hope that their quarterbacks can escape the inevitable pressure. And then there's the potential for schematic creativity, stunt packages, twists, and unorthodox alignments that only a player of Hendrickson's caliber could execute effectively. The rumor mill suggests that San Francisco has been quietly planning this for months, coordinating with coaches, scouts, and even players to ensure that when Hendrickson arrives, he can hit the ground running and immediately impact the game plan. Fans, naturally, have gone into overdrive. Social media is ablaze with speculation. GIFs of Hendrickson's past highlights are being shared with titles like "Nightmare for Quarterbacks," and some commentators are already floating the idea that this could make the 49ers defense the most feared unit in the NFL. The narrative is irresistible. A team with a versatile, creative defensive coordinator, an established superstar in Bosa, and now an elite pass rusher in Hendrickson, all adding up to a front that might just steamroll through the playoffs. Rumors from insiders suggest that even some veteran players on other teams have started to voice concern in private conversations, wondering if their offensive lines are prepared to handle the dual threat that San Francisco now presents. It's not just about sacks. It's about turnovers, hurried throws, disrupted timing, and the momentum shifts that define playoff football. Hendrickson himself has remained characteristically modest, though insiders say he's thrilled about the opportunity. He reportedly views this as a chance to not only elevate his own game, but to contribute to something larger, a team-wide push toward a championship. Rumors indicate that his locker room presence is already making waves, inspiring younger defenders and creating an atmosphere of competition and accountability. The 49ers haven't just added a player. They've added a catalyst, someone whose work ethic and intensity could raise the level of everyone around him. League analysts are buzzing about how his arrival could alter the dynamics of matchups against top-tier quarterbacks, and some even suggest that teams like the Rams and Seahawks, who have traditionally struggled against elite pass rushers, may have to reconsider their offensive strategies entirely when facing San Francisco. Of course, signing Hendrickson isn't without its risks. Injuries, adjustment periods, and the inevitable chemistry questions always loom large. But the buzz suggests that the 49ers are confident in their ability to integrate him seamlessly into their defensive scheme. Rumors from training sessions hint that he's already impressing coaches with his understanding of the playbook, his adaptability to complex blitzes, and his natural ability to read offensive formations. For fans and analysts alike, this is shaping up to be one of those moves that could either be remembered as a stroke of genius or, if the unexpected occurs, as a gamble that didn't pay off. But the prevailing sentiment is overwhelmingly positive. The league is watching, quarterbacks are nervous, and San Francisco is signaling that their pass rush might just become the deadliest weapon in the playoffs. In the end, the signing of TREY HENDRICKSON feels like a story straight out of the NFL rumor mill turned reality. A strategic, high-impact acquisition that instantly shifts the narrative, energizes the locker room, and sets the stage for what could be a historic postseason. Fans are already imagining the scenarios. Hendrickson and Bosa combining for unstoppable pressure, creative defensive coordinators scheming to exploit every gap, and quarterbacks across the league facing the kind of relentless, terrifying pass rush that only a team with vision, talent, and ambition can muster. The 49ers are making it clear, this is more than a signing, it's a statement. TREY HENDRICKSON isn't just joining a team, he's joining a movement, and the NFL would be wise to pay attention. Rumors might have started the story, but now, it's official, and the implications could be monumental. The playoffs are coming, and if the chatter is accurate, opposing offenses are in for a season-defining nightmare. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.